It's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. So my hope is to get all of the old dead stuff that I can. I know I won't get it all done probably before the heat sets in, but I would love to get all the really hard work done as far as well, I've got the cleaning done and I got most of the planting done. I need to trim back so many things, but I would love to get as much of that as I can done and get the planting all done, because I still have some pots that don't have anything in them. These actually do have, I don't know if they'll come back. This one probably will. It's a plumeria. I thought this one would, and actually it still may. There's a tiny bit of green there. It may still come back. It's just an asparagus fern, but it can fill out this pot. My friend Oma gave this to me many years ago. I have once had to replace it totally, but until then I never even had to replace it. So in this one I think will come back just because it always has before, and this is the pretty purple heart plant. I'm not sure what this one even was. I think it also is the purple heart plant, but does not look like it's planning on coming back. But maybe it'll change its mind. And I still have pots that I want to probably either put something else in or just to put them away. I don't want them out here. I don't want to be doing more pots. I've already decided, yes, I will go ahead and put this other row out in front of well, you know, I have this one in it for one thing, and this is under my eave, so it gets drowned out. So I put this little thing that goes under the gutter, but it works fine here where the drip is excessive. And then I put those little black and blue salvia on either side of it, and they will grow up and look pretty right there. I had that there last year, so I know that it can do that, and hopefully it will do that. This little pot is just filled out so much from the time I put it in earlier this spring. And I always want to have my perennials that come back, and I always want to have some room for some pretty annuals. I love all of these annuals. This is the calibrachoa or calibrachoa. I think it's called calibrachoa, but I love it. I love just the little salvias, and this white doesn't seem like it's such a pretty one because it's not a bright color, but I do love it. That creamy white with a little bit of green just seems to go well with things. And of course I always love the coleus too. I want some coleus in my garden each year. There's many of the annuals that I want in the garden. I would tell you, and I want impatiens, but these were impatiens, but they're not now. That's another one of those jobs I want to get done. I want to get done those jobs so that I don't have that to do when the really hot part of summer comes on. I do good just to get it watered every day, or watered enough to keep it alive. I've been watering it every single day, so I'm going to try to maybe cut back a bit on that. We'll see how that goes. That may not work, but I'm hoping that it will. But I do have a lot of pots still over here. I don't want these sitting here. I'm going to clean those out and put them away. Now if they are a clay pot, I will keep these, because I will put the plants that need to come inside in these pots, because they do better for me than any of the other kinds of pots, because they're porous and they don't let it stand in water. Seem like that might be one of my main problems, is to keep them a little too wet, but they like to be moist. They just don't like to be soggy, or they like to drain well, put it that way. But God has definitely given me a great start for this spring. I guess He had mercy on me, because it was so hard for me to clean out the garden this year, and every year it seems to get harder. But I've had rains all along. I've only had to really water the whole garden a couple of times, and then of course a few of the little plants that I just put in. But they're all doing well. They're not all doing well, I'm sorry, but they're all doing, some of them are doing very well, and then some of them are not. Now this little dianthus, it doesn't look like it is, but all it needs is sheared back, and it'll probably come back this fall, if not sooner. So there's a lot of things that are just doing great, and even this little lipstick pink impatient is doing great, but there's so many more that are doing terrible that they have to come out of there and be replaced with something, and I do want to go ahead and do that and get that done so it can all be pretty, and I won't just be looking at an eyesore, I'll be looking at a beautification. In this pot, this one is that little Kaffia, or that little cigar plant that's in the Kaffia family, and it seems to still be alive, but it's not doing well there. I may move it, I'm not sure, and I think that little bright red salvia is dead, and I know they died out in several places. I don't know what caused them to do that, but many of them didn't make it. I'll come across here because this is a pot where I had it filled out with agerantum and red salvia, a petunia, a beautiful butterfly plant, and this pretty little. This is the only one that still looks healthy and like it wants to live, but the rest of this needs to be redone. And I love and look forward to the planting part. I love to see how they're going to fill these pots out and how beautiful they might be. If they get a healthy start by the end of the season, they look so good. But, you know, that's not the way it usually is. That second, when I have to come back around and so many things have died, and I just noticed that this had a coleus on both sides, and you can tell that one, you can get to where you can see it, is totally dead too. I hate that, but that's the way it is, and when they get like that, there's really nothing you can do but replace them with something. If nothing else, just put some seed there, something where they can be pretty and not just an eyesore. I love this little hosta. It's just got that velvety sheen to it. No, not a sheen actually at all, but just a velvetness that looks so pretty. Now I would say this one has a sheen, and it's very pretty too, but for some reason that almost looks like a peach fuzz on it. It just makes it look so soft and pretty. It's May the 21st, and my husband and I put some flowers on some of our loved ones' graves today, and we stopped at one of the stores there along the way and found some little garden art. This is not a piece of them, but I had to show you this because I was going to say the first daylilies have bloomed, so summer is not far away. And these are the new little garden art that I got in this for these little pots. And my other little dilapidated and broken and busted up little girl and boy that I had in here, I had just held them, and I said, "Oh, it doesn't seem right to just throw them away, does it?" to my husband. He said, "Well, yes, they're trash. Here, give them to me." He put them in the back of his pickup to take off for me, so they're going to be gone. They were a good little girl and boy. I loved them. But I like these real well. They look like they belong here already. I did trim down a few things yesterday also. This is a sweet pea vine, and it was just all over my little path there, and I just had a big mess with it. So it looks so much neater now. I don't know how long it'll stay that way, but it looks good now. Look at this bright, pretty yarrow today. It's really looking good, and I'm hoping we get some rain. We had, I think, 100% chance of getting it yesterday, but we missed that. So that's western Oklahoma for you, I guess. We're just really good at missing the rain, and I don't want to say that too loud either, because we have had some wonderful rain this season, and I would like to keep it that way if possible, because we've had some dry spells that we've had to just totally suffer through. I pulled up quite a bit of larkspur out of the garden, but I need to pull up a lot more, because if I let all this go to seed, which I don't plan to do, but sometimes, we don't get things done as quickly as we'd love to in the garden. But I'm hoping to get most of this up. I certainly don't mind a few of them dropping, because they are very pretty, but they can take over. I did do a few more pots yesterday, and I got a few things on a 25% off sale at our local nursery, Janie's, and this is part of it right here, the two trailing periwinkle or vinca plant. And then also this little pot below it, I have a coleus and some alternanthera, this little wine red or deep mauve color. And when the sun, I'm hoping it'll get a little bit of sunlight, because that will light it up like a ruby. Can somebody tell me, is this a weed? I know it might be. It's volunteer, but I just wasn't sure that I maybe have planted something there, so I'm giving it a chance to see what it will do, but I don't know, it almost looks too good to be an actual plant. The weeds always seem to fare much better than the plants do. Look, I knew we had a cardinal pair, and I knew they had a nest right up here. But today, I'm seeing that one has flown the coop and is ready to sit out on her own, or his own. His daddy, though, is not far away. Neither is his mother. They're taking turns and both watching over her and making sure I don't harm her at all, which I certainly don't plan to do. But I'm grateful that I got to share this little moment with them. I wonder if they're encouraging her to fly. I guess they were. Look at that. She flew right up there, and they're telling her all about what to do next, I guess. How sweet. Today is May the 29th, and we've had 3 spring rains, and this is the equivalent of all 3 days, which is just a little over an inch, so that's great. And it's cool today, a nice cool. So I'm going to see if I can get a few more things done. I would like to change these cocoa liner pots out to some regular pots like I did in this one right here. And I'm seeing that I have a couple of sprigs of Johnson grass that escaped from next door, and I've got to get these out of here as soon as possible. And Tuesday of this week I finished my second round of planting, which is basically things that didn't make it that first time, and of course places where I hadn't yet put anything in. So I put some beautiful little plants in this pot, little impatiens and that beautiful colorful coleus, and of course I had the creeping the wandering Jew here, and I also put this one in. I don't know if I may have already shown you this, but I had this part done earlier, and then I put this little pot underneath it with the impatiens and a coleus in there too. And I will still want to take this, maybe the whole thing out, but at least take that cocoa liner out and put a pot in there at some point. This little one got tipped over and was looking terrible for a while, but it looks like it's got its little root anchored back down in its pot and ready to go again. And these are a few more that I put together. And I moved this little Cathia or cigar plant around from the front because it was not doing well at all, and I think it's going to get more sun here maybe and hopefully do better. And I fixed up this little pot. I always call this my brother's pot because he did this for me, and I'm seeing that it's covering part of his name up here. I'm going to move this over just a little. So I'm hoping it will do great the rest of the season. And I still have not taken out all the little pots that I decided not to use, but I put the bigger pots in their place. This is still a small pot, but I had to get a small pot there to fit in that little space. And I think it does look good. I love this little coleus, the color of it. So I'm hoping these will all do well, and just loving the cooler weather today. So great. I need to get out here and get busy, and I do plan to do that too. There's so much that needs to be done. And I did trim some more of our evergreens down from the bottom parts of them where I planted. This is a bleeding heart, and then I also put another hosta in there. This is supposed to get 4 to 5 foot wide, so I thought that would be a great place for it, and I think it will look pretty with 2 hostas here. And I already had this one from my friend, and I noticed that this little pot is filling out somewhat, and it looks so much better. It was looking so scraggly, but I think before too long it'll fill that pot out and just look great. So this is what I want to do today, is clear away a bunch of this old spent blooms that look so ready and make the garden not nearly as pretty as it could be. And I hope to get a bunch of that done. I did do a lot of it yesterday too, and I actually used some of my forget-me-nots. They have a pretty blue bloom, and I put some of those over there in my brother's container that I fixed for him, and it just looks, I think it's going to look great because the blue and the peachy orange are going to look good together when it blooms. And this little strawberry pyramid is coming along. I was afraid I didn't have enough marigolds to really fill this out, but I think once they get big they will fill this out. And I do see some more tiny little flax coming up here too, so that'll be great. It probably won't take a whole lot of it to fill this out when it gets bigger. And I thought maybe some of this was flax when they were tiny, but actually these are little seedling trees that I need to pull up and out of there. So there, I got some of them up and out of there, and that looks better. And I definitely do want to get out here and just shear off all these old spent blooms so that it'll just be a pretty little green rose bush until it puts on some more. Once I get these off, it'll probably put some more roses up for me. And my little Santolina is looking good on this side, and I did go ahead and pull this away from the other, but I put it back down here hoping it may still, it does have a root. And I also took a piece of this and put it around in the front so that, and in the ground, so that just in case it can't make it in this pot, maybe it will make it in the front, which it does not at the moment have a root on it. I just clipped some off and put it in rooting powder and trying to give it another start. And I did see some YouTube posts that put on how to do that, and that they say it's very easy. So I don't know why I've had such a hard time with it, but I hope it's back in the garden to stay. I love this little, how God just made this look like those little bristle blocks just stacked and stacked on top of each other in a tiny miniature form. I also did do a few more of the sedum pots, and this one had other plants around it and a sedum here in the front. So excuse me, I was pretty sure I could depend on this sedum, so I put it there in the front, but I decided it's going to go all the way around and fill this whole top part out, because that will make it easier for me, and it won't take so much attention to it, and it's still going to be pretty. And here's a couple of more spots where I did that. This one I kind of missed the idea of having a bunch of pretty blooms and textures in here, but this is going to be much more reliable, and I won't have to maybe water it as often. I'm sure I won't need to as much. This is the sedum, and it just can go much longer without water. So I'm hoping that will help me in my goal to make things a little easier on me and still be pretty. Like I said, I think it's very pretty. Right now it's even in bloom. Some of it is. And I did put two different type of sedum in here. This is the Live Forever sedum, and I can't remember the name of this little one, but I do love it. It seems to have some turquoise in there some of the time when it's first starting in the spring, and it does get taller, so hopefully it'll have that in the back and then the shorter one in the front, and the shorter one also does trail, so I think it will be pretty. Another of my goals is to clip back the mums that are blooming or trying to bloom now, because there's several different reasons and thinking behind all this, but if you plant your mums in the spring, they will want to bloom in the spring, I've heard, and that seems to be the case. But it also says that if you plant them in the spring, they have a good chance of having a mature and strong grounded root that it'll come back next year, and that has proven true for me also. And I'm seeing this big, you're probably seeing it too, this big old weed right here. Get that up out of there. These things just absolutely hide from me, but I got that one. And I do hope to get out here and trim these all back so that they will bloom in the spring, in the fall. And they still will bloom in the fall. If you get this off, I think before the 15th of June or sometime in June. And speaking of that, I have got to spray our trees for bagworms, because that has to be done the end of May or the first part of June in order to keep those things from building their little bag and living, no matter, you can spray them after that and it won't do them any good. They're safe in their little bag, but I don't want that to happen. So that's my plan, to get that done. Tomorrow actually is the day I'm hoping to get that done, if things go well. And this is where I put some more of the little sedum, and you can tell the color on this now. Isn't that pretty how it's kind of purple and turquoise? And I totally have forgotten the name of this. I need to figure that out. And this little one, I kind of thought it was the same, but it's the same colors, but I think it's a smaller, doesn't get as tall maybe, but it may be the exact same and just hasn't had a chance to get all of its growth on it yet. But I think it's just a smaller variety. So I'm going to have sedum everywhere, but I think I'm going to love it. And then in the spring, a bunch of this, if not all of it, will just come right back, and I'll just clean out the old dead parts of it, and it'll be ready to go again. I did get this little rose. Mostly the only thing on it were old dead buds. So I've taken those off, and hopefully it'll green up a little bit more and not look so scraggly. But it was beautiful when it was blooming. And then just right across from it over here, this one I haven't got to yet, but I hope to get to it soon and get all these old dead ones off so it can replenish itself and bloom again, and just so it won't be so ugly. And I did get this little rose. It was also just covered in old dead bloom. Actually, I left this one right here because they were all in bloom. You can see now that some of them have already quit blooming, and I probably need to go ahead and take that one off too. But that shows you the color, and sometimes the color is even darker. This looks more pink, but usually it has a darker, almost purple look to it. And this little pot is actually beginning to fill out just a little bit, and I'm still thinking that maybe I got the ones replaced enough that hopefully it will fill out and be beautiful. I even see here on the back side that this little coleus is beginning to grow. And I did not get this little rose, the old blooms off of it, but I will plan to do that soon. And I'll show you that some of my lilies are beginning to bloom. I don't think this bloomed last year until really close to the 4th of July, and we've had such good rains. I'm assuming that's what made them to bloom sooner and look so pretty. And I've been pulling up some of the larkspur because it just gets to be so much. When these go to seed, they're just, oh my, it's probably 10 times as many as there is now that will be there next year. But it's so beautiful. I can't quite seem to get rid of all of it so that I don't have that problem. But that may happen in the future because I've definitely got to get things a little better. And I'm seeing down here, there's a redbud tree. So I've definitely been pulling these up all along. Here's another. So I've got redbud trees and, well, several seedling trees, different seedling trees that I have to keep trying to get rid of them while they're small. It's a lot easier to do than when they get a big, good-sized root. This is another little one that needs to be taken the old buds off of it. Roses are beautiful when they bloom, but this look is not a good look. But I did get all these down on this end. I trimmed them all up and they look so much better. And this is another little pot of those. I'm just quite sure these are just the smaller variety of that one, but they do have that same pretty color of actually like turquoise and purple. And this little pot of Chinese forget-me-not, It was a little bit bare in places, but no longer. It's looking great. This sedum's a little beauty too, and I want to get some of this off of the front part and put back there toward the back if I can do that. Probably not today, but maybe. We'll see how it goes. And I think this is a pretty sedum too, and same, it needs some back there toward the back. And then it can spill over the front because that's beautiful. I even put some of that in my upside down pot, but I'll have to leave it here for a couple of weeks while it gets its root down before I turn it where this will be the bottom part of it. And I had done this one, of course, and then this one, but I finished this one up and I took the old cocoa liner out. I put a pot in that, and then I went ahead and put some of that same pretty purple and turquoise sedum in here. And this may be the thing that made me feel the best, is when I got those old ratty looking dead roses out of here. They were so pretty when they were alive and thriving and doing well, but when the bud gets, or the bloom gets spent, it's just not a good look for them. Then I went through this whole flower bed on the back side of our house and took out all the old dead stuff, and I even took out, I'll just walk up there a little bit where you can see, but I took out, this was the rose that was a pretty orangey creamsicle like rose, so pretty, and I took all the old dead buds off of it. And then this is the honeysuckle that was trying to reach down too far, and we didn't want that for sure because if it reaches the ground and then it'll take off and go, and we don't want it to take over. But it was such a enjoyment this spring because it smelled so good. But it's looking a little like it's been scalped, of course, but that's okay because it will grow back, and that will also keep it, hopefully, from just taking off and going down. This little fencing just really does help that totally. If you can poke it through those fences to where it's on the inside of the fence and not the outside, it will grow upward toward the sun, and it won't fall down very much. Occasionally you'll definitely have to keep an eye on it. I know I've told you that before, but you don't want it to hit the ground because they will just take off and grow long and just take over everything, which nobody wants. We did not go ahead and trim our crepe myrtles this year, but I'm going to try to get back to that next year because they just look kind of ratty. I was thinking, this looks the most ratty of all. Everything that's on this little section, now that I've got the rest of it cleaned up somewhat. So anyway, I've got to see what I can get done with that too next year, but I'm going to let it go this year. It's just going to be too hard to try to trim it down now that everything's already greening up and looking good, and it'll be putting on its bloom really soon. I saw a Russian sage downtown was just so full of bloom, and I'm thinking that mine is a little bit too much in the shade, but I still love it. I'm going to leave it here. I do have a few in other spots, but I think they're all in pots. But it's a beautiful plant. So today I'm going to try to get started on this west fence row and just see how much of this I can get cleaned out, because there's several things that definitely need to be cleaned out of it. Some are the roses, some are the dead peony blooms. Just a lot of things like that will make it look so much neater if I can get them out of there. I was thinking I loved this little plant, but now I'm thinking it's more like just the old natural ones that just get so prolific. I may have to end up taking those out of there. I think maybe they've gone back to the old kind. And those can just be so hard to get rid of. They're pretty, but they can take over too. I don't like something to take over. I just like it to just blend in with everything else. Look at this beautiful copper hibiscus. It won't be that long probably before it's blooming. You can see I did get some of the peonies cut back, but there's a lot more that I did not get cut back. So I want to get these old blooms off of them, and I definitely want to get some of these larkspur out of here because I just have too much to deal with. I've got to pull them up, or at least cut the seed heads off of them so they don't fall down and you know, 10 times what's there now, there next year, and then I'd hate to think how many the next year. And this is another big old ratty looking spot here. I'm going to get that out of there and see how much prettier we can make it. And I say we, and I guess I mean me and God, because I'll be the one to clean it up. But there's just too many places where they're coming up and too many larkspur, but they're so beautiful. I do love them. It just amazes me how God can make that color, because I get blue and purple mixed up, what I would call blue and what other people call blue or purple. But this little plant, let me see, I don't know if you can see, but it literally has blue and purple in the same little bloom. Look at that. So pretty. It's just like it's electric. This little pot of sedum I started last year because I already had the plan to put at least all on the west row in sedum, and it has worked really well for me. I don't know if in the future I may be having to pull out some sedums, but I think still it will be easier than trying to refill all these pots with new plants or seedlings and seeds. So I love this too. I think it's so pretty with the deep dark color and the bright green mixed together, and then there's that pretty purple and turquoise plant again. And in this little pot. This is my little Sandalina start. Hopefully it will do well here. And also my cannas that my friend Alma gave me are looking good. Be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel and share us with your friends.